Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor and privilege to welcome you all to this special gathering, a celebration of scholarship, dedication, and academic excellence. Today, we come together not only to launch a remarkable courseware, but also to recognize the passion and commitment of those who make learning more meaningful. This launch is a significant step in creating accessible and impactful content for aspirants across the country. We are truly delighted to be in the company of distinguished dignitaries who have made extraordinary contribution in the fields of public service, governance, law enforcement, and education. As we begin the evening, may I request Ms. Subhangini Priya and Mr. Abhishek Mishra to proceed with the formal welcome of our esteemed guests by presenting the traditional Angvastram as a mark of our respect and gratitude. Thank you. We are truly privileged to have each one of you here with us today. Let me begin by introducing and welcoming our eminent guests. Shri Deepak Mishra, retired IPS officer of the 1984 AGMU2 cadre, fondly known as the Super Cop. He served as DG Law and Order, Delhi Police, and is the recipient of both the President's Medal for Meritorious Service and the President's Medal for Distinguished Services. Shri Tripurari Sharan, retired IS officer of the 1985 Bihar cadre, former Chief Secretary of Bihar, Director General of Doordarshan, and Director of FTII Pune. He is currently serving as the Chief Information Commissioner for Bihar. Shri Ranjanesh Sahai, retired IRAS officer of the 1987 batch, who served as Secretary Railway Board and was deeply involved in modernization projects for Indian Railways. Mr. Abhishek Mishra, historian, educator, university topper, and gold medalist across Delhi University, author of books for UGC NET and UPSC CSE, currently an associate director in a leading edtech firm. Ms. Subhangini Priya, historian and educator, a university topper and gold medalist from Lady Shri Ram College and Hindu College, and a published author whose work has shaped UGC NET and UPSC CSE preparation. She is currently a professor in a leading edtech organization. Dr. Lalit Singh, the Managing Director of McGraw Hill India, leading the higher education and test preparation business in South Asia. A former surgeon turned business leader, he holds an MBA from NUS and a master's in health informatics from Swansea University. With prior leadership role at Elsevier, he is passionate about using technology to solve real problems in education and healthcare. With such an illustrious gathering, today's event is bound to be both inspiring and enriching. We now invite you to join as we unveil the book and hear from the visionaries who have contributed to and supported this journey. May I please request everyone to unveil the book in front of you? I would now like to invite Dr. Lalit Singh to tell us about the concept of McGraw-Hill Edge Courseware, a path-breaking learning solution for UPSC, UGC, and CAT aspirants. You can just.
Thank you, Shreya. And once again, welcome everybody on behalf of McGraw to this event. Happy to be here and be able to share with you what we are doing and what we are building for the civil services aspirants community. And delighted to have two new authors in our family, Abhishek and Subhangini. Thank you so much for all your hard work over the last several months. I still remember the first meeting I had with Abhishek ji in Bangalore. I think it was raining that day as well, and it was good in a certain way. We were able to spend a lot of time together, just deliberating on what to do with this product. There's so many books and products and content sources out there in the market, and just another book on the same subject that has been beaten so much would not have made sense. So the deliberation, led to an idea which has now turned into this reality. So very happy to see it there. Just a couple of more minutes on what Courseware actually is and what we are trying to do with this product here, this type of product, I should say. We, for the last 25, 30 years, have been one of the leading providers of good quality, credible, authentic learning content for the civil services aspirants in our country. So there's a lot of legacy there, and there's a lot that we need to protect in terms of both brand and the credibility that our forefathers earned for our organization. So now as we strive to take this legacy forward and build on the brand that has been given to us as a legacy, we are trying to really turn the tide a bit, because there's so many books, as I said, in the market, but the consumers of the new age, they have interesting choices, and they have more than one choices when it comes to finding learning content, finding any content, and then specifically finding learning content as well. So there has been some research that we have done, and our author community also keeps on providing us inputs from time to time, which tells us that the consumer, the content consumer of today, the aspirant of today, is not satisfied or is not happy or is not just done with one particular book or one particular source of content. They want static content, they want dynamic content, they want content that explains concepts, they want content that can be used to practice, and a whole lot of things. And with more and more AI, and then now generative AI taking up the space in the search world, and then now in the content creation, content delivery world, it makes sense for leading content providers like us to bring that technology into the picture. So this product, which we call Courseware, is actually culmination of all of this. The legacy that we have as a brand, the legacy we have as the publisher of leading content across higher education spectrum, across disciplines all over the world. Add to that the new age technology, the capabilities that technology does offer, our access and our network with the leading subject matter experts, most authentic teachers, educators, and then authors, and then bringing all those skills together, and then bring into picture the evolving needs and the evolving requirements of the modern day consumers. That's what this courseware is about. Everything comes together here. We provide book. Using this book, and you will see a QR code here. Any user who buys a book actually buys the entire courseware. They don't have to pay anything after that. But using this QR code, they can go to straight away be taken to the McGraw-Hill Edge platform, where we have a community of more than 150,000, 1.5 lakh plus aspirants on that platform, where they can get interesting lectures by the teachers like yourselves. You're explaining concepts in form of videos. Then we have some, in some cases where the need is, we have animations, we have practice questions in between the concepts, so that forms part of the formative learning and formative assessment. Basis the feedback, they can go and do the specific things that they need to, and much closer to the examination, they can have quick revision snapshots, examination tips, and then lots of model papers, practice questions, and so much more on that platform. And lastly, all this use by the consumer on the platform creates a lot of data. It creates a lot of data for us as publishers, to know what the consumers need, what they are interested in, where they are struggling. It gives a lot of data to the authors, the teachers, to understand which aspects are more useful for the students, which aspects are still not being explained as they should be. And most importantly, this gives lots of data to the consumers themselves. They get to know what their journey over a period of time is like. What pieces of the content they are getting better at, where they have the perfection or near perfection, there's nothing perfect, and where they're still struggling. So it gives the idea to the consumer also where to focus towards the end and how they can go about quick revision, whether they need this revision or they need to consult a teacher or a subject matter expert that they are in touch with in order to get the conceptual clarity. So there's a lot more that happens there. I can't really explain all of that in a few minutes today, but happy to talk about this further if need be and take any questions later on. I'll be around, so the team is around. We can talk about that. But once again, thank you so much to you and Abhishek for turning this into a reality. Very excited about this idea, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be a great success for you and for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Lalit, for explaining the concept of McGraw-Hill Edge courseware. I will now invite Mr. Abhishek Mishra to walk us through the salient features of the courseware on Indian history, authored jointly by him and Subhangini Priya ma'am.
Thank you, Sharan. Thank you so much. Honorable Shri Deepak Mishra sir, Honorable Shri Tripurari Sharan sir, Honorable Shri Ranjanesh Sahai sir, Honorable Shri Lalit Singh sir, ladies and gentlemen. It is with immense joy and gratitude that I welcome you all to the courseware launch. This room has a lot of significance for me personally because it was a decade back in the same exact room that my father's book Policing Delhi was launched. So it has now been close to 13 years, same exact room, different setup. And we were standing there as college students, never thought that this is the moment we'll be able to recreate. And he has always been an inspiration and role model for us. And this book, that was dedicated to him and my mother. That he has, within this life of bureaucracy, always tried to be academically oriented. And he made us like that also. In a world which is becoming more and more corporatized, the idea was that padho, and I will support you. I have no issues in supporting you if you want to study. And that is quite interesting. And being in a very high pressure job, that is also very, you can say enlightening, that he always wanted to study, still studying. And I hope to be here again in this room, launching his book again very soon. I'm also delighted to see my mentor, supervisor, Professor Amar Faruqi. He's hiding behind in the end there. And in a corporate environment, it is very, very difficult to be academically oriented. We know how it is. And it is his training, it is his teaching, that within that space also we were oriented like that, we were able to produce something like this. Because it is very, very easy to get caught up into that world. And I'll be very honest with you, it is his teaching, the structure, the form, the arguments which has been pushed. If sir will see multiple videos, he will realize that I have plagiarized from him, which is that his imprint on this courseware is surely there. And in my teaching itself, whenever I teach narcotic history, whenever I teach the history of the 1857, I teach in the same way he taught me. So I remember how I did that and how he taught me. And what is interesting is that he's the teacher of both of us. So we both were the students of him. And thank you so much, sir, for being here. I would also like to thank Nirja ma'am to being here, because the conversations which I had with her, her passion for the subject, जो मेरे को ये डांट के बोलती थी कि ये करो वो करो, all of that has culminated into this book. Ma'am, thank you so much. And you have always inspired us, both of us. And that was, having both my mentors here is very, you can say, I'm really thankful. It means a lot to me. When we talk about a book launch, for any author, it is a milestone. But for us, it is more personal, and it is a personal achievement in that regard, because this is not just a result of random facts being brought together. It is research, it is reflection, teaching, collaboration, and all of these things coming together to solve a very genuine problem. something which we both encountered when we were teaching in Delhi University, which was that, sir, where is that one book which gives me everything for history? And to be very honest, as students of history, as historians ourselves, if I can call myself that, and I would take the permission of Farooqi sir to use that word, that when throughout my MPhil, throughout my MA, throughout my research, we have only read books. And be it my home in New Delhi or be it my home in Bangalore, it is only filled with books. So it is in the end that same energy coming through that we are writing these type of books, and it is something where we are always, everybody in this room is an inspiration. All of you have encouraged and all of you in some way or the other have told us that you can do it. And every student we met in Delhi University had the same problem, which is, okay, we want to study, we have a lot of interest, but there's no one book through which I can understand everything. And history, because it is a vast subject, for pedagogical reasons, it's divided into different, you can say, periodizations: ancient, early medieval, early modern, contemporary. And each of these areas has its own complexity, which is it has its own cultural history, its layers, its nuances, its debates. We are, as of right now, also part of a historical debate. The only use of history today is to misuse it. And ironically, we are part of that larger argument, which I would argue to my students is only something which you find in popular culture. In academic history, that debate may not be there. But in popular culture, it is the politicization of history which makes it what it is today. And therefore, what we were able to understand very early in our academic career was that there was a need to find a source which negates the need for multiplicity of sources which have contradictory information, fragmented themes, and outdated interpretations also. A lot of the sources today were written in 1980s and 90s, and a lot has been now changed and challenged in that regard. And that has not been pushed through. And because UPSC as a zone uses these books as resources, they also try to push that same type of argument. So the idea is that there was a real challenge. The challenge is to figure out one source which can do justice to everything, and the very rich history of India can be captured and can be done justice within 700 pages. The first thing which I said to McGraw Hill was that the biggest issue is going to be that I have to now bring down 3,000 plus pages to 600 to 700. It's 672 to be very precise. And the first question which my students ask is, does it have everything? Yes, obviously. But that is where the training as a historian, as an academician, the training as a student of history has helped us to identify what to read, what not to read, and what to actually argue for. Now, what the courseware is, in very simple words, it's a comprehensive one-stop solution which has ancient, early medieval, modern, and art and culture, all 5 thematics quite important and quite relevant for the examination. Be it UPSC, CEC, be it state PCS, whatever examination you're giving, these 5 themes are very important. And more than that, what makes this journey even more special was that I had the privilege of authoring this book with my better half, a scholar, a sounding board, and a true partner in every sense. I would also apologize to her for taking a lot of her time to write this book with us. Both of us have put in lots of hours, which I apologize for, but thank you so much for standing and becoming a part of this journey in that regard. Before I end this small conversation which I'm having with you, see, if you look at the courseware, it is where I actually, when Lalit sir and me had a conversation, and Tanveer sir is not here, but the idea was that the way to bring down 3,000 plus pages to 672 is through videos. That is where we are in a digital age. Both of us, wherever needed, wherever we thought that a theoretical understanding is needed, wherever the words cannot be enough, because sometimes what I can say to you, I cannot write it down. That is where the QR codes are placed in the form of conceptual videos. 55 such videos recorded with all our hectic schedules within a corporate environment in the night, both of us squabbling to record these videos. Further, when we talk about previous year questions, all of that is covered in textual form. You never know how to approach that question. And this is the only courseware book available within the market in which all previous year questions have video explanations within them. Then, because I am a student of Professor Farooqi, timelines are very important. So, be it a macro or a micro, every thematic starts with a macro timeline, that this is the larger picture, and every chapter ends with a micro timeline saying that this is a small snapshot of what you've understood. Because if you cannot understand where the timeline is, you cannot understand history. And in the end, we also tried to capture a lot of interesting things which may not have been part of popular imagination, which we heard as part of our training, that from Prabhu sir. He's not here again. Prabhu sir, Farooqi sir. We are students of Upinder Singh ma'am. We are students of Nanjot Lahiri. So we tried to push that through in the form of did you knows. That did you actually know that Gandhiji, when he met Irwin, he did not actually say that one of the demands, which is captured in every book, that you please commute the death sentence of a martyr, Bhagat Singh. It was rather a request, which was very well captured by his own secretary who went with him. It was a request. And we've given that quote there, that Gandhiji said that it does not seem appropriate to talk something like this in this context. But could you suspend the death sentence of Bhagat Singh so as to make the environment more amicable? And in every other book, any standard book, it will say within Gandhi Impact, there were 10 demands, out of which 8 were met, 2 were not met. Rather, it were 9 demands and 1 request, which was not met because Bhagat Singh, as it is, was a personal project of Irwin. Irwin had to make sure that he becomes an example. So these are small insights which we have tried to capture wherever possible so that we all can go above and beyond. One more instance which I will say, because again, it was part of my PhD courseware, that when we talk about Jallianwala Bagh, there was a recent movie which came out which was totally make-believe in the end, because the case was not against Dyer but O'Dwyer, a very standard confusion which happens, which is it was not General Dyer but O'Dwyer, the Lieutenant Governor. Within that, the idea was that the curfew was pushed on 13th of April. And therefore, when he was acting and he was killing people, massacring people in Jallianwala Bagh, he was doing it on his line of duty. However, as it turns out, when we went through the Hunter Commission report, minority report, it says that there was no martial law. Martial law was only pushed on 15th. So he was acting illegally that day. But again, something which is not captured, be it for UPSC within, see, that is where one thing which we try to do is we try to marry the academic with the popular. UPSC aspirants are the future of India. They are going to, at the end of the day, build India. But if they don't know what their history actually is, then what is the point in that regard? And that is where we have tried to go above and beyond. And these are small quirks which we've added. This is where our training and being associated with such stalwarts in that regard has been very, very important. And what better occasion that the book is being launched by 3 outstanding Indian civil servants, each a stalwart in their own right, whose pioneering contributions to public service continue to inspire the nation. I do not need to introduce anyone on this board. They are in themselves the services which they represent. And in that regard, I'm extremely proud, and I feel proud that this book has been launched by 3 men who actually represent the bureaucracy in India, the steel frame. They are the steel frame. And in the end, I would like to thank McGraw for trusting us, for allowing us to, in the end, produce something like this, where they trusted the process. In multiple spaces, I said, ho jayega, tension mat lo, we will be able to manage. In multiple instances, nahi hoga, kaise karoge? I was like, don't worry, we are not just random aspirants, we are historians, we will figure it out. And in the end, also the unwavering support of my family, Subhangini, my father, my mother. My father has always inspired me, and as always, we are what we are because of him. But he always encouraged. And he said that you have to always express yourself above and beyond whatever you are right now. And I hope that this just does not prove to be a textbook, but a real companion for every student of history and not just for the competitive space, but for the academic space also. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable insights. We now move to a very special part of our evening, the reflections and remarks from our distinguished guests. First, may I invite Shri Ranjanesh Sahai to share his thoughts.
Good evening. When I came here, I thought that perhaps the audience would consist of lots of UPSC aspirants, and one would have to probably talk about this book in that manner. What I find is that there are people who themselves very distinguished and in the subject matter and otherwise in the field of social sciences. And Farooqi Saab, of course, he has been a stalwart who's well known. I was never in Delhi University. I came to Delhi and joined JNU. But there was a respect for him as a history student that we always recall. And some of my friends from Delhi University, they tell me stories about what he did in the class, what he told in the class. So it's a privilege for me to sit on this rostrum and be talking to him from this side. And a lot of my old friends are here, so it's so to say the atmosphere is so comfortable and homely that one would have loved to talk about what one has felt about this nice book that they have taken out, Subhangi and Abhishek, and what a couple that has got together to come out with a product which would not merely be what in bad language you say a punji, but that would be a kind of a substitute for what is available right now. And as they were mentioning, that there's a plethora of literature available on history, and as a history was also one of my subjects in UPSC. And I would like to start talking about the dilemmas that I faced in 1986 and 1987 when the UPSC mains schedule came out. Because we had a schedule that the exam started with the Hindi-English paper. The next day was general studies. And there was a gap of one day. Fourth day, it was anthropology, and the fifth day, it was history. Now, the problem with history was that, as I said, there were too many sources, too many divergent views on the same subject matter. And it was such a vast subject matter to, you have to remember all those facts also, that after the anthropology paper, we had just one evening to just try and regather whatever you've read over the days and come with a confident mind to the exam hall. So that dilemma, as I had a cursory look at the book because it was not there with me earlier. So, and I find that a lot of scientific ways of conveying and assimilating the information have been provided. So modern ways like use of QR code and ready retrieval of the information, which would definitely help students of history who are interested in civil services exam. And as correctly said by Abhishek, it would be a book that I would keep by my side because as a history student, even though the children in my family at times expect me to remember facts and tell them the right things when they ask. And then I am looking right and left and I am not able to solve their problems. So that would be an aid to everyone, and it's something for the keep. It is not that you put in the bookshelf and forget about it. So congrats to both of you for coming out with a very, very unique product. Congrats to McGraw also for patronizing this kind of output that is unique and path-breaking, so to say, in the field of preparation for civil service exam or any other similar exam that would be there. Now, what other advantage that I see that this kind of a book can provide to an aspirant is that you see, in our times there were two papers, selective papers. Now I think there's only one optional subject. So, and arithmetically speaking, the subject is of 500 marks with two papers. Am I correct? Yes. And there is a general studies paper which is of 1000 marks. Now I just, because I was to come and talk here, so I had a look at two past year question papers, and I found that almost 30% of the general studies paper is catered to by three subjects primarily: history, political science, and geography. So if you have gone through a book like this, out of 1,000 questions, you are almost catering to 300 of them through a book which is supposed to be for your subject matter, but comes as a big aid for your general studies paper also. So I think this would be a very, very useful tool for the students. And as Abhishek said just now, that some of the subject matters have been modified, correcting the wrong facts that was circulating over the years, and misguiding us on the actually what happened in history. So that's a big contribution. The UPSC civil services is on one side, but it is always better to know what happened really in your country and in the world in the right perspective. So I think I have very distinguished colleagues here. Deepak Mishra sir, I keep hearing nice stories of Delhi police about him. Tripurari, of course, is a batchmate and a very close friend. So I would, without taking more time, I would like them to take over from here and let's come out with their views about the book.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your thoughts. Next, I invite Shri Tripurari Sharan to address the gathering.
Abhishek and Subhangi, Deepak Mishra ji, Ranjanesh, Lalit Singh ji, and all my friends who've gathered for this evening today. Let me first start by informing all the friends who've come for this evening today that, I've had the opportunity to sit on the boards of the, the State Public Service Commission. And over the last 10, 15 years, I have found that the corpus of knowledge that the students who come to these state civil services exams is absolutely amazing. And I'm sure that the whole process of finding the best talent, goes through a recurrent refinement in terms of testing through the best and the toughest questions. So my thoughts went in that direction when I started looking at the book compiled by Abhishek and Subhangini, and I find that really it's something which can do yeoman service to every aspirant for these exams. When I was looking at the contents of this book, my thoughts went back 45 years when I used to study in St. Stephen's College, and some of my best friends were students of history honors. And one of the reasons why I switched away from or switched off from my initial preference for my graduation, which was the subject of physics, was that I used to see all these guys, the students from history honors, they would be roaming around the corridor, sitting in the cafe and having chai, including my dear wife, she used to spend a lot of time with her professors in the cafe. And, and here we were getting up in the morning, and 9 o'clock or quarter to 9, my first class in physics used to start. And, one lunchtime, we used to rush to the mess, finished lunch, and after lunch also there would be practical classes which used to go until 5 o'clock in the evening. And the history students, especially during the winter time, some of them would be lazing around in the green lawns of St. Stephen's College, which were the lawns were really nice. So, so I used to look at them and I used to say, how do they get by? This whole batch of history students, what do they study? Well, and on the other hand, I had opted for physics, and in physics, the toughest part for me used to be mathematical physics. We used to have. Is there anyone from physics honors or physics background? Oh, Deepak ji, haan. So Spiegel's mathematical physics we used to study, and one time before the exam, I was looking at how to solve curl of curl A. It was a very difficult exercise, and if you had not practiced it, then there was no question of you getting it right in the exam. So, and I used to sort of study mathematical physics, lying down on the bed and with the book open like that. And okay, first step, second step, third step, and I used to understand all those steps. And at the end of it, I used to think, well, I now know it. So that's the way I revised my subject, and went to the exam. But unfortunately, in the exam, when I started doing this solution, after a few steps, I just lost some clue. So there was some catch somewhere. You had to remember that catch, and only then you could solve it. And memory plays pranks with you, and especially when you do not have, especially when you have not practiced. And this is the subject on which I would like to spend a couple of moments. When you have not practiced all these things through associative memory, and at the end of the exam, I realized that I'm not going to pass. And well, in any case, at the end of my physics honors, I said bye-bye to physics, and the easiest escape was to go to JNU, and well, not the easiest escape, but JNU was an alternative, and I opted for sociology, and then in JNU, history was a different ball game altogether. I learned because in St. Stephen's College, there would be tutorials. People used to inherit tutorials from their past students, from God knows when. There would be tutorials which would have been handed down 10 generations. 10 generations meaning 10 classes. So, 4 tutorial पढ़ लिया हो गया, उसमें BA history honors हो जाता था. But when I landed up in JNU and I interacted with my history friends, and they talked about Romila Thapar and Bipin Chandra and nationalism and so on and so forth, then I realized that history is a much bigger ball game than just those tutorials of St. Stephen's College. So anyway, I was saying associative memory, and associative memory is something which is so very important for history. And without realizing, we try to go through courses of history. I'm not trying to be patronizing, but without realizing, we go through courses of history in terms of remembering facts. Now, mere memory of facts, while it does not comprise of history in any case, that memory itself will not be a very stable one. So that is why you have to evolve associative memory in your mind as far as history is concerned. And the moment you develop and evolve that associative memory with the larger domain of history, it is much easier to recall. It's a very, very beautiful aid to your ability to recall. And that is what distinguishes a bright student and a not so bright student. That's the fine distinction between a bright student and a not so bright student. If you are able to employ associative memory to recall what you want to recall, then you are a bright student. Otherwise, you will falter at every step, just as I faltered in mathematical physics. So that's one. The other thing is, there are some misconceptions which have prevailed about the subject of history, and that is, वो कहते हैं ना, आपने भी सुना होगा, हिस्ट्री ज्योग्राफी सब बेवफा, रात को रटिए दिन को सफा. तो वो इस तरीके के misconceptions थे. But now things have changed quite a lot. It's been, of course, 40 years since we were candidates, we were aspirants at UPSC. Things have changed quite a lot. But even then, even so, when I was looking at Abhishek and Subhangi's work here, I found that, these, the way it has been organized, it can be a beautiful aid, a very good aid to your associative memory. But remember that associative memory cannot be cranked upon unless you are familiar with the larger domain of knowledge that you are attempting to imbibe. And that is why, I have to congratulate Abhishek and Subhangini for a thorough work that they have done. I have not had time to go through each one of them, each one of the chapters, but some of the chapters I scanned through, and I found that I was quite amazed at the systematic way they have been able to compile all that they have in this particular book. If I had the time, and God willing, maybe there's never an end to the wishes that you have, but I would definitely like to go through each chapter very religiously and try and travel back in time and recall my days as a student not history student formally, but a student of history, and because it was also one of my subjects in the UPSC examination. So I want to close my speech by saying that this is a great thing you've done, Abhishek and Subhangini, and many generations of the UPSC aspirants would be thankful to you for systematizing knowledge in the way that you have the knowledge of history. And there's another very popular saying, एक ही साध है सब सद है सब साध है सब जाए. There may be several sources for sources of reference, sources for reference to prepare for an exam, but you don't need to get discouraged by that. The question is, concentrate on one, and if you concentrate on one and if you put your heart into it, I'm sure you can get the desired results. And this is what I see the future of Abhishek and Subhangini's work in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And now I invite Shri Deepak Mishra to share his insights and words of encouragement.
Hello. I'll offer my unqualified apology. My throat is not up to the mark. I'm not well. Still, I could not resist but to come here because the author this bacha and his lady wife, they are like son and daughter-in-law to me. And for a father, it's really a matter to be taking extremely pride moment when your progeny, when your children, they achieve certain milestone. So you want to be a part of that. So I had to drag myself all the way and to be present here. Abhishek, all I know is that he's a man very undaunted and very resolute in character. जो सोच लेता है वो करके छोड़ता है और भिड़ा रहता है. I'm told so is a better half, and both of them, not only they share the same passion for the history, they seem to be made for each other. That is, in marketing में एक word आया था बिल्स फिल्टर के marketing में made for each other. तो दोनों लगता है कि बिल्कुल made for each other हैं. ईश्वर ने जोड़ी बना करके भेजी है. As a father figure, I can only bless them and ask Lord Almighty to shower all their blessings. रही बात सिविल सर्विसेज के प्रिपरेशन की, बड़ा अच्छा त्रिपुरारी साहब ने कहा. त्रिपुरारी और मेरे दाहिने तरफ में हम सारे जो हमारे कलीग्स हैं, ये दोनों तो हम लोग JNU से हैं. आपका बैकग्राउंड में माफ़ी चाहूँगा, मुझे नहीं पता है. मेडिसिन. अच्छा, तो हम लोग तीनों JNU से हैं. और त्रिपुरारी की तरफ से मैं भी फिजिक्स पढ़ा था, लेकिन मुझे फिजिक्स के हिसाब से बहुत ही ख़राब एक्सपीरियंस हो चुका था. I was working for some project with electron microscope. उसमें ये कहा गया था कि आप उसको जब तक वैक्यूम कोटिंग यूनिट चलता है आप उसको छोड़ के नहीं जा सकते हैं, क्योंकि कब पावर ट्रिप हो जाएगा. और उन दिनों UPS वगैरह नहीं बहुत रिलायबल होता था, तो सारा तेल वेल फेंक देगा तो पूरा माइक्रोस्कोप खराब हो जाएगा लाखों रुपए का. तो दिन भर बैठे रहते तो वहाँ पे चला करके अचानक मन कर गया कि नहीं जाके चाय पीना चाहिए कैंटीन में. और सच में ऐसे बैड लक ऑलवेज स्ट्राइक्स यू व्हेन यू थिंक बैड. उस दिन बिजली चली गई और सब गड़बड़ हो गया, और गाइड उसी दिन आ करके और उसने मेरी स्कॉलरशिप बंद कर दी खुंदक में आ करके. तो मुझे फिजिक्स से बहुत दहशत हो गई. मैंने कहा ये मज़ेदार चीज़ नहीं है. UPSC में फिर नहीं लिया फिजिक्स, मैंने नए नए सब्जेक्ट ले लिए. हिस्ट्री लेने की बात है, क्योंकि उन दिनों हिस्ट्री बड़ा नंबर 1 डार्लिंग सब्जेक्ट था 84-83 में, याद है ना. पर उन दिनों हिस्ट्री में 2 स्कूल ऑफ थॉट बन गए थे. लेफ्ट स्कूल एक बना था इरफान हबीब, रोवेला थापर वगैरह JNU गैंग, और एक था नॉन वाला. तो हमें लोगों ने डरा दिया कि तुम्हारी कॉपी यदि लिखो इस स्कूल से पढ़ के उधर चली गई तो वो नंबर नहीं देगा, उधर वाले इधर पढ़ लिया तो ये नंबर नहीं देगा. तो मैंने कहा मेरे हाथ में तो है नहीं कि किधर मेरी कॉपी जाएगी, तो मैं करूं क्या. तो बहुत परेशान हुआ. मैंने कहा मैं लफड़े में नहीं फंसूंगा, तो ये अपने बस की चीज़ नहीं है. फिर मैंने एक दिन फिर मेहनत किया हिस्ट्री पे. फिर पता चला फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन पढ़ने बैठ गए. लुई 16 आ गया दिमाग में. अब गुस्सा बहुत ज़्यादा आया. वाई दिस लुई हैड टू कीप हिज नेम एज लुई 16. If other Louis from 1 to 15 can sort it out without any panga, what was the need for this 16th idiot to do all this kind of hera-fairy and all? मैं ठीक बोल रहा हूँ. लुई 16 था ना वो, तो उसके बाप के बाप के बाप होंगे 15, 14, 13, 12, 11 वगैरह. अच्छा, this idiot has to be named Louis 16. Now imagine हमारे में रामदरस का बेटा रामदरस होता है क्या? रामदरस 1, रामदरस 2, रामखिलावन 3 नहीं होता है ना. इतने सारे नाम है, कुछ रख लो. हमें लगा ये ठीक चीज़ नहीं है. ये लोग दे आर नॉट गुड पीपल. Then I tested my knowledge about history. I was quite happy to ensure कि मैंने जहांगीर की शादी विक्टोरिया से नहीं कराई. I was quite satisfied कि मैं हिस्ट्री में बहुत बढ़िया कर लूँगा. So I never looked back. हिस्ट्री मैंने नहीं लिया. Now, after a gap of 35 to 37 years, when I entered the same UPSC room, but of course on this side, और जब इंटरव्यू लेते हैं यूपीएससी में ले रहे थे तो 10 स्टूडेंट में से 7 जो है वो बीटेक वाले आते हैं उस 7 में से 6.25 रेशियो बता रहा हूँ दे हैव टेकन इधर कन्नड़ और मैथिली और सम वियर्ड काइंड ऑफ वर्नाकुलर लैंग्वेजेस बट दे डोंट टेक इंजीनियरिंग एज ए सब्जेक्ट So you ask them कि भाई ये क्या हुआ फिर तुमने 5 साल देश के पैसे बर्बाद किए उसको भी पता है वो झूठ बोल रहा है मुझे भी पता है वो झूठ बोल रहा है लेकिन वो बोलता है झूठ और मैं झूठ को खरीद रहा हूँ वो कहता है नहीं मुझे पाली से बड़ा इंटरेस्ट था एंड देन आई नॉट आई सेड यस बहुत सही बोल रहा है लड़का आई अंत में चूंकि मैं बोल रहा हूँ तो ज्ञान की सारी जो मिठाई थी वो तो बढ़ चुकी है और आप लोग काफ़ी इम्प्रेस्ड हो गए होंगे मेरे हिस्ट्री के नॉलेज से तो मैं खाली डब्बा बेच रहा हूँ सो आई टेक इट ग्रांटेड दैट इट इज सोल्ड आई टेक इट ग्रांटेड आई रियली आई एम टोल्ड दैट द बुक इज हैविंग मल्टी डायमेंशनल अप्रोच इट्स अ न्यू काइंड ऑफ बोल्ड एक्सपेरिमेंट won't be able to give any insights about the book. I'm not competent. Except the fact that I know that if the boys have written it, if my daughter-in-law has penned it, they must have done a very thorough job and very professional job. And then again, I now regret that had this chap been born earlier, मैं बेटा कैसे बाप से पहले पैदा हो सकता है लेकिन यदि ऐसा हो जाता तो मुझे मैं जो भटका था ना हिस्ट्री से वो मैं नहीं भटकता मैं हिस्ट्री जरूर पढ़ लेता अब कभी आगे बढ़ूंगा लाइफ में तो आई वोंट हैव दैट रिग्रेट आई रीड द बुक थैंक यू सो मच ऑल ऑफ यू थैंक यू
Thank you so much, sir. As a token of gratitude, I now invite Dr. Lalit Singh to present Momentos to all our esteemed panelists. Thank you once again to all our dignitaries for gracing this occasion and supporting the vision behind this initiative.
ये भी ठंडा है बेटा
एसी से प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है क्या
बुखार होगा गला बहुत खराब है खांसी हुआ एसी चला था
एसी बहुत एक्चुअली ब्लो कम क्या है सकता
Thank you, dear. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. Like this. Thank you. Oh, Abhishek, come from here also.
Please come to the center.
Loudest claps for the champions.
formally express our gratitude, I now call upon Ms. Subhangini Priya to deliver the vote of thanks.
It is my profound honor and privilege to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks. Thank you is indeed a very small phrase, almost too small to capture the warmth, gratitude, and heartfelt appreciation that we feel this evening. But since language gives us no better alternative, let me say it again as many times as it requires to truly express what's in our heart. Thank you, Shri Deepak Mishra, sir, for gracing this occasion. Even though you are unwell, you actually came to this event. We could not be more humbled and really grateful to you for this, for gracing this occasion with your presence. Your kind words and encouraging thoughts have added immense value to this event. Despite your demanding schedule, your presence here is a blessing and truly an honor. Thank you, Shri Tripurari Sharan sir, for making this special journey all the way from Patna just to be with us today. It is deeply humbling to receive your blessings and witness an unwavering support for young academic voices like us. Your presence has elevated this moment to something truly very memorable. Thank you, Shri Ranjanesh Sahai sir, for joining us today despite your packed commitments. Your gracious presence and word of appreciation really means a lot to us, more than we can fully express. You have always encouraged us and inspired us, and we could not be more thankful to you for that.
God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Lalit sir, for really gracing this event. We would like to extend our sincere gratitude for giving us the opportunity to author with McGraw Hill. Collaborating with such a renowned institution in the field of education publishing is both an honor and a privilege. Your leadership and vision has been really instrumental in forming the book, and we are truly excited to contribute to McGraw Hill legacy, and we will definitely deliver high quality educational content that will definitely make an everlasting impact. Each one of you is a stalwart in your own field, a beacon of integrity, service, and scholarship. Having this book launched in your esteemed presence is the greatest honor a young author could ever hope for. To all the guests, our guide, mentors, teachers, well-wishers, and members of the academic and publishing community present here today, we thank you for sharing this milestone with us. We would also like to thank the staff of IAC and McGraw Hill and all our team members of McGraw Hill for all your support and encouragement you have provided us throughout this project. Let this book not just be a compilation of fact, but a small step in making history more accessible, meaningful, credible, and engaging for every student who seeks to understand the story of India. Other than that, this journey cannot end without thanking our father, Dr. O.P. Mishra, and our mother, Aarti Mishra. They have truly been a great source of encouragement, and I think nothing can ever happen without their support. They have always been with us through thick and thin, and whenever we need anyone, they have always been there with all their encouragement words. So with folded hands and grateful heart, I just want to say thank you, and thank you once again.